Hey everyone, this is Tracy with Color Me This. We are on episode 412 today, getting right back into the daily color. In Johanna Basford's Small Victories, I am 2¼ pages away from finishing this book. You guys have been with me on this journey since the very beginning of page 1 of this book. I'm so excited to do a front to back flip through. Today we're doing the Narwhal. This is the page before the end. After the end, I do have on one of this test pages, I left a little tiny house. I just never got to doing it as I went through the book, which has been front to back. I did get some Holbeins at some point and did the other little image on the first test page. So today we are going to tackle the Narwhal. We're going to focus on the top half of the Narwhal image. The entire image has an above ground and then a below water. I went and chose from my rotation 8 random selection list of all of the pencils that I own, that I now include 2 watercolor pencils, and I had on the list of pencils left to use for round 8, I have the Albrecht Durer, so I chose these. I thought it would be really fun to do a larger image in a wet medium. This will be the largest image that I have worked with using a wet medium in a coloring book. I've done a lot of watercolor type projects, but they have not been in a coloring book. So I have my water here. It is a water dispenser. I should show you because it's kind of clever how it works. So we've raised up so you can see. I don't want to risk making a mess. It is a gravity well. So once I use this water and it gets contaminated, I push this button and it will refill. The reason why I purchased this, I got this off Temu. I purchased it because when I work with the metallic water mediums, like this is a palette of mica watercolors, I don't want to contaminate the mica with the different colors, so that way I can change colors, I can quickly clean my palette and move on to the next color. And it has worked very well for me, very inexpensive. The only thing I have found is it will, you do need to kind of leave it alone and not tip it or mess with it, or it will overfill. Okay, I'm going to move you closer to me. Again, this is not my comfort zone, so we're going to explore something pretty new to me. The use of watercolor I'm familiar with, but not necessarily the use of colored pencils as watercolor pencils. We have a lot of greens. Thank goodness green is my favorite color. I have found with this particular book there are a lot of greenery type elements, and so it has been fun exploring greens. I have picked a dark, medium, and light to use for what I would call like the deciduous tree type greens, and they are, I'm going in reverse order than I normally do. I usually go light on the bottom. All right, so we have light green 171, leaf green 112, and deep cobalt green 158. The all caps polychromos, these are fairly old, 6-ish years old, maybe 7 years old now. Time keeps going by. I keep forgetting to add years. And so these will have the all caps, and then they start with 8200, which is maybe the product line code, and then this right here seems to be the newer style of lettering, and they've dropped the 8200. Okay, so I'm going to start with the dark, and I'm just going to be adding dry, some shadow areas, hope everyone is having a great week. It has been quite cold. Afternoons have been warming up, but this week in the morning it's been really chilly. So 2 days in a row I have forced myself to go to the pool, and I'm usually kind of a coward when it comes to the cold weather, so I have doubled up my rash guard tops to stay warm as best as I can. I'm going to the middle color now. I'm just going to add some color. I know I'm being just kind of really casual about how it's applied, because the wet is how I will move around the color to where I really want it to be. The middle color I'm going to apply. I have some areas. Now this will be fun. The front here is, I think, supposed to be kind of fluffy. Same with this side, like a shrubbery-ish. So we will see if I'm able to do some dabbing with the brush. I have... Oh, I never got my brushes. I will pause in a moment. I will add some more color and then I will go get my little pack of brushes. I prefer using an actual brush, a small one, over an aqua painter. I find that the aqua painter, I can't control the water level as well as I would like. You're going to see that I have a lot of this middle green color, leaf green. I'm hoping that I can challenge myself to doing some different things with it, with the water, to make it look different in the various areas I have applied it. So we will see how that goes. I have, right after I did, this is what happens, right after I did the Languo gel pen walkthrough, the day after, my Temu package with the 18th set arrived. So now I have a complete set. I did empty the storage container that has 3 slots that had some different pencils in it. An extra set of pencils, actually. I emptied and have put my Languos in. I'm going to do a video. It'll be an update video because I have a couple of things. I need to give you guys an update on the Woomer Lightfast. I have kind of a fun video that I've been waiting for to point you to, that has some really good information about Lightfast. And then I also have some images of the Woomer at day 7. And so I'll do that. And the update on the Languos. I also bought, just a very quick sneak peek, some 1mm Languo Color Gel Pen Plus P600s. And I think the B is for bold. So I have 2 sets of those. I have 1 set of 4 glitter, and they got greens, of course. And I only bought 1 pack because I'm not really sure if I even needed the 1mm. And I'll do a quick report on that in that update video. So I'm going to pause really quick and go get my brushes, and we will get started on the greens and see what we've got. Alright, I am back. Again, my set of brushes is Crafter's Choice Royal and Langnickel. It was like a set of 12. I bought it at Walmart. I also then bought a very small, all of these really small brush tips, and then of course one of these got stuck in here. I think it just ended up being out, so I put it in there. And my size that I like to work with is this very small brush tip. Does it have a size? It's a number 2, and it is flat on top. So we'll see how this all goes. I am going to grab a paper towel, and we're just going to get right to it. I will admit, this is maybe my 3rd or 4th watercolor pencil image, and I still get nervous. So we're playing with this middle green back here. I want it to be fairly smooth because it's in the distance. I may add a little bit of color to tone it down and make it a little bit more gray. I might need reading glasses today, or craft glasses. Things are a little blurry. I do want this front green area to be fluffy looking, bushy looking. So I'm hoping that this set of trees here ends up a nice tritone, dark to light. And it is doing the dark to light for me quite nicely. Now I know to get a truly smooth surface, the best way to do that would be to take the pencil and moisten the tip or put some pigment on a palette somehow, maybe a rough, bumpy palette. But I'm trying to operate these as pencils and then apply wet on the paper directly, because it's a different way of using the watercolor than what I'm used to. And so since I'm right now all excited and I have been addicted to colored pencils the last couple of years, I want to use them as colored pencils. So I know there's all sorts of options. Now these deciduous trees, I started with the dark. Looks very blue all by itself. So that'll have to dry. I do want to add some green. Now for the fluffy in the front, I was always taught in art classes and in college, lights advance, darks recede. So I'm trying to do darker in the back and lighter in the front. So we'll kind of play with that today. It's the middle green here. I've left quite a bit of white in the front. It doesn't feel very wet right now. I do want a little more green on these. I know that the water mediums go so fast, so I'm not like in a huge rush. I do have my typical go visit mom in the afternoon. It's kind of turned into like a routine. She's been here a while now, since October, and then she moved into her house on November 8th. So this is kind of our routine. We've already exercised together, as we do most mornings. It was cold, 67 degrees, and very windy. In the pool. The pool is heated. And again, I had a rash guard, 2 rash guard tops for warmth. Some people actually come with scuba material, thick. And I don't have anything like that. I don't want to have to, if it's that cold, I don't want to have to swim. I should not have to swim. Surrounded by palm trees and freeze. Okay, so I've picked up the walnut brown because I'm looking at these vertical lines, and that's telling me that these are more rocky dirt areas on the hills. You definitely will see that I am holding the brush. Holding the brush rather than put it down. So I'm applying some of these browns, and then here's the trunks. This is again walnut brown. Did I give you the number? 177. The numbers do correspond with the polychromos numbers. So if you're like, wow, that really sounds familiar, it's because it is the same number. I've been rushing, trying over from January on. I feel like I'm rushing, but I'm still trying to give quality time to my pages. But I haven't done a lot of other coloring books. I know that is probably not the best way to get visitors to my channel. When I use the newer books, I always get way more traffic. But again, this is a focus. I have to remember this is my personal journey. And I really, really want to say that I have finished a coloring book. So that is what I'm focused on. All right, so we've got these walnut brown hills in the background. I'm going to have to embrace the darks recede and get some more darks going. I've also established to myself, but never told you guys, that my light source is off into the upper right, like it normally is. Maybe it's because I'm left-handed, I'm not sure, but I always seem to pick the upper right. I'll have to embrace upper left on some future projects. All right, so we're getting some darks. I'll have to work on changing the color tone behind the trunks because they're walnut brown. This set, I have the set of 60, by the way, and I think I have like 3 cinnamons, a tan, some yellow ochres, and 4 browns. So I don't have a ton of browns. I do have burnt sienna, which has a little orange to it, 283. So possibly I can, get some mixed color tones in here. I also have grays if I wanted to. All right, so we'll go in here and get this background colored in. I do have like a pine color picked out for the pine type trees or fir trees in the background. So when you use this is a really smooth paper, and I can see the tooth, and when I kind of dab along here to get the finish to look watercolor-esque, I still can see some of the pencil pigment that I applied directly, and I'm okay with that look. It kind of gives it a colored pencil-y look. And I hope if you have not colored this page and you have this page or even a page like this in either a download from Johanna Basford or one of her other books, that you will try, if you have any watercolor mediums, try them if you have not. So see, I added the orange, and I like that it has made the hill some different colors than the trunks of these trees. All right, so we will just press on here. I do a lot of very light dabbing, moving, actually physically, I feel like I'm moving the water around, manipulating where it's going and how the pigment is moving. I could go ahead on that left side. It could still be wet. Just darkening things up. I went across the line, so I want to try. This is a good experiment. How well? I've not done a review on these. I've not even swatched these. It's kind of fun. They erase nicely. To not have everything super organized, even though I'm a hyper organizer. Sometimes it's just fun to pick a couple of products and you're like, I am not, or me, I am saying I am not going to organize these in exactly the way that I've been doing with all of my dry pencils. I'm going to treat these as a different animal. So I don't really have information to go on with these, except I do know The color numbers and the colors should match the polychromos. I do know that. But I have not pulled my swatches out today. I have a few different polychromos swatches on various papers. So there's the hill on the left. I am pretty happy with that. I wouldn't mind this side being even darker. And it is wet. So this is me adding the tip directly to the somewhat damp paper. I still think I could use craft glasses. Oh, and then I do have two trunks here I forgot to do something with. And I can just kind of pat out the color from what I just applied directly. But I want to leave them pretty dark. I'm surprised I have not felt the need to use the paper towel quite yet, which is nice. I think last week when I was filming, I was telling you how hot it was. It was like 90 a few days. And now this week it's cooler. Okay, I have one little section on the other hill. This middle area. I'm going to add more color to it. I might leave that light. We'll see. Next, I even had, I'm going to use the burnt sienna for fun on this part. I think it's funny that she ended up with this swath of ivy like a cone topping over the top. Fun and different. All right, let's see how the sienna brown, oh sorry, burnt sienna, when I activate it, how orange it gets. So last night, I took a couple days off of coloring, but I really didn't, because that's how things usually go. I ended up spending each night time doing my Languo gel pen, the fine tip ones. I swatched them all, and then I got them put in their book. And then I had the new 1.0 bolds to play with, but not very many. I think I have 6 and 4, so a total of 10. I will refrain from expressing my opinion on them, because I'll put that in the next video. It'll be the next, I might do the other half of this first. All right, so I think that shows some variation, and now I have the base here on this walnut brown section of the hill. But it has dried, so I can go in and now darken it up. So last night I was finishing that project up, and I've noticed I have some pretty consistent evening raccoon visitations right in front of me at the bird feeder. And sure enough, I had a very large raccoon, and he stayed for a really long time, and he sees me. He even like kind of stood up on his back legs and looked at me. He kind of looked like a little mini bear. And he contemplated, is she a threat? And, you know, they're used to people, because there's a whole bunch. We have 22 homes along this trail, and I'm pretty sure that somebody is feeding them. Now, and I'm inadvertently feeding them, but not directly. It's whatever seed the birds chuck onto the ground, that the squirrels, the ground doves, and then the raccoons, and then there's a possum with the big squirrel. There's a possum that comes along. It's really light colored, and it doesn't see the raccoon immediately, but then it sees the raccoon. It kind of just stays clear, and everybody is civil. And then there's an orange-tailed, there's a pair, and one of them has an orange ringed tail instead of black or dark. And so they came later. All right, so I'm liking the variation. So the trick for me is trying to achieve variation in the colors, even though I'm using very few colors. I've got the front bushy area, lots and lots of white left, and now I'm adding in a teeny bit of this green. We'll see if I'm going to wet it one more time, and then I'll probably will still come back through and do a dry application. So this side shows horizontal lines, so I'm going to respect the artist's guidance there and do some horizontal lines. I might leave that just like that for now. I have two olivey colors for the ivy. There's the ivy on the left, and I'm going to use these two colors. Olive green, yellowish 173 is the darker, and the lighter is earth green, yellowish 168. Again, names and numbers that will probably look familiar. And you'll say, boy, those are familiar. So this is my shadow color, but I really want to emphasize this is my sun side. So even though I'm inclined to want to go dark over here, it really needs to be light. All right, so we'll see if I've got enough of this light color. And then I'm hoping that the darker olive green yellowish, when I activate it, I hope it will turn a little more green. I'm dabbing back toward the dark because I want the dark to stay on the edge of the hill. Okay, those look okay. Again, dabbing and pulling the water toward the dark tips. Okay, so those are kind of the olivey green. The reason why I did that hill first, I did not pick olivey green for this hillock and this, and I might actually want to use those colors because this side's looking very, there's the bright green, and then I made these kind of bluish green to be different. But before I decide that, I'm going to grab the pine green here, 267, so that I can use that on the fir trees. I'm going to do the color in the corner. Pardon my hiccup. and then I will pull the color out over the non-colored area. And all of these will be colored in the shadow side. I love the tall, whimsical looking trunks. These are my favorite type of like artsy folk trees. Love them. Back in the day in the Pacific Northwest, you could buy these hand-carved wood trees in various sizes and hang them on your wall. In fact, I got some at an art show that used pop can tabs, you know, the aluminum ones, as the hanger. And that's what those remind me of. In fact, my mom has some hanging in her home that she brought from Washington State. And I got rid of mine. I'd had them forever. At the time that we sold our home, we did not know where we would be settling down when we landed again. So I did not keep them, which is surprising. I don't remember what I did with them, but when we came back last fall or last summer, end of summer, to get our stuff sold and packed up, they were not part of any of my stored items. I did let a lot of items go to family and friends, and so perhaps somebody wanted them. I'm going to soften these lines. Oh, they've dried. They dry fast. I just don't want the lines to be... I'm being really careful when I pat. I don't want to pill the paper. But I didn't want my lines to be quite this harsh. So I'm just dabbing, pushing the bristles backwards a little bit. And I have not done the trunks. And look at that teeny tiny trunk. In the spirit of minimal colors, the roof has already been, I went ahead and added the walnut brown to it. All right, so I'm going to continue coloring. We're going to save these two ivy covered hillocks for last. I grabbed for the buildings two very simple colors, going patriotic for the United States. I went with dark red 225 and Indanthrene blue 247. Cute little stripy stripes there. And pretty simple coloring. I have the windows. I like to do yellow. I don't even know if I will bother activating this. I might just leave it dry. Oh, we're going to make that a window. Okay. We're doing good for time. I do have a smaller brush. I brought the pack here of the thin, the very thin. Let's see how this goes. Even though this is longer, I'm still doing sort of a dabbing, pushing the water forward. Motion. I hear a squirrel or something over by the door. All right, I need a tiny bit of blue on the front. Okay. Before I switch from the blue, I will come down here. I might even go ahead and make the chimney just kind of like a nondescript color, rather than get gray, which would be my inclination, but that's yet another pencil to get out. We have a funky striped door that I am making match with the striped roof. Right now I am very glad I went with this teeny tiny brush. First chance for a little paper towel. I think that's too dark. Okay. Now all we have left is our ivy, and I think there's so much bright. I am going to go with those olive tones, the two, which are earth green yellowish and olive green yellowish. I'm going to use the olive green on the shadow side. Kind of fading away, still having some of the olive in the nooks and crannies, but not as much. All right, these two, I think I'm going to let those be a very light green. Okay. This is the brighter color, earth green yellowish. All right, let's see what happens when we activate it. Going back to my slightly bigger brush, what color or what size, if I can even read that, this is, I cannot read it, 2/0, I believe. Royal and Langnickel. That's the teeny tiny one. All right. This has already been wetted, if that's even a correct term. I have applied water to the bristles. So far I have not left a lot of areas on my objects white, except on these bushes in the front. Since this is far away, I'm inclined to go along like this and darken any white areas. I don't think these back should be detailed. I just want this side to be lighter. Almost done. Very light green. Light green, 171. Again, I haven't activated the windows. And there it is. Let's make sure that you can see the whole of it. I did not activate these leaves. All right, so that is it for today. That was so much fun. It's a little nerve-wracking, a little stressful. It's kind of fun to put yourself in somewhat stressful situations out of your comfort zone. And I think it came out great. We're almost at 45 minutes, so I'm going to call it here, and then we will continue on with the second half. And somewhere in there I will toss in that update video that I talked about today. So do all of the YouTube things, like, share, comment, consider subscribing. I never talk about the notification bell, but if my schedule, I don't like commit to certain days. I try to do the daily color 4 times a week with a couple of other videos mixed in. So the notification bell is a great option so that you will be notified when I throw up new content. Thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome back if you are returning, and I hope you will join me tomorrow for the underwater scene with the narwhal. We'll see you then.